Hear ye, hear ye. Silence! May the Royal College of Medicine Disciplinary Tribunal of Dr. Frankenstein commence. Dr. Frankenstein, what say ye? Gentlemen, I've devoted my life to creating artificial life that no man has seen before. I've collected pieces of perfect specimens to create the ultimate being, which I have here before you today. Silence!
Ew.
Continue, Dr. Frankenstein. What you see before you is a series of electrical workings plugged into various nodes of importance within the human body, all of which with the intent of producing electrical stimulus to give this once deceased creature new life. To trigger this process, we use this apparatus that I have crafted to store electrical energy and provide an explosive output to jumpstart this creature's systems. I will now place the battery in its specialized chamber to begin channeling energy to the creature. Behold, from death I have created life. I present to you a perfect artificial being born with the gift of immortality.
That's absolutely immoral.
It's a preposterous abomination.
Obscene.
I can't hogwash. Disgusting on the natural world. Blah.
Where's his penis?
What do you mean, where's its penis? It's not important. Why are you so... A penis isn't a point. It's a perfect being. It has perfect motor functions. It can catch a ball. It can look.
Well, that's all well and dandy, but what good is catching a ball if he can't crank his massive hog?
Yes, I do kind of agree with this. What's the point of living without a hog to crank?
Exactly.
Yeah, where is his penis?
Why can't you have a cock? No penises anyway. I wouldn't like to live.
How can it be a man without a cock?
Cockless is soulless. No penis, so I'm gonna have to pass on this one. Perfect being, eh?
Mouth looks good though.
Not that perfect.
I know tits.
John and Nick like movies. Nick and John like movies. John and Nick like movies. Who do we say first? I don't fucking know.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Buttered Up Podcast. I'm your host, John.
I'm Nick.
Nick, I have had the reminder set for weeks about the movie that we're going to talk about today. I love the Frankenstein monster type thing. I've never read the book personally, but I've been looking forward to this movie for months.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it since 1818, so.
It's a long time.
Well, I mean, we're just now getting around to it,
Were
really.
you on the ship looking through the Arctic Circle?
Yeah, and at that point, I thought it was going to be a great story to tell, so.
I'm glad you're back. So yeah, we're talking about the 2025 rendition of Frankenstein, directed by the Guillermo del Toro.
Beautiful, man.
Awesome. Just classic director when you're looking for a monster movie. I mean, he did the original Hellboys, the Hellboy 1 and 2,
The good
Golden
ones.
Army. Yeah, the good ones. No offense to like David Harbour and like, yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was all right. But
Offense.
the OG with Ron Perlman, man, they were so good. And then he did Shape of Water. He did Crimson Peak.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh, yes, Pan's Labyrinth. And then my personal favorite was the Cabinet of Curiosities series on Netflix because it's like a nice anthology of short stories that I think he had part in their production, but I don't think he actually wrote all of the stories. He just kind of helped them come to life. So
Help them come.
To
life, speaking of which, Frankenstein.
Oh, yes.
So
This episode.
a little bit about the making of the movie. Let's see, budget $120 million. It was released November 7th, 2025. Again, directed by Guillermo del Toro, who was also the writer for screen.
The screenwriter.
Yeah, written for screen by Guillermo del Toro.
For like the fifth time.
Yeah, for everyone who already knows, the original work was by Mary Shelley back in 1818. I think it was initially called would they say Frankenstein or the modern Prometheus?
That's badass. I love that. I also like Prometheus.
Speaking of which, going into the movie, we're talking about Prometheus.
Psych.
So the composer for this we don't normally talk about, but it is, he is Alexandre Desplat. He was involved in The King's Speech, The Queen, Argo, but also has a lot of ties with Wes Anderson. If you guys are Wes Anderson fans, he did Grand Budapest Hotel, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Asteroid City, Isle of Dogs, and then worked with Guillermo on Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio that came out in 2022.
Yeah, I need to see that.
And Shape of Water in 2017.
That was good. I like that one.
And then the cinematographer, which is also kind of like a fun story, Don Lotson, who John, you'll never guess this. He he was a cinematographer for John Wick 2 through 4.
Okay.
And you can really see it in Frankenstein.
Yeah.
He also worked with Guillermo on Nightmare Alley in 2021, The Shape of Water, and Crimson Peak in 2015. So just fun little additions
I'm so
in there.
disappointed that when Frankenstein came to life in this one, or the monster came to life, he didn't go, yeah, I'm back. It's so good. Sorry, I have to throw in there that Guillermo also directed Pacific Rim. The first one was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, second one kind of just felt like the shitty Power Rangers with Charlie Day, which was funny, but yeah, the first one's way better.
And then there was a knockout cast for this. We had Oscar Isaac, Jacob Elordi, Christoph Waltz, Mia Goth, Felix Kammerer, who might sound a little unknown. If you've seen All Quiet on the Western Front from, I think, 2022, he was the main character in that one. Beautiful movie. Then we have David Bradley, who is the librarian in Harry Potter. Lars Michelson, Lars. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. I think it's Michelson.
It's Mickelson.
Fuck. And Ralph Ineson for like 5 minutes, but he was in The Witch. He was the dad in The Witch.
I love Ralph Ineson. He's got such a nice voice too. You said Charles Dance?
Charles Dance.
His dad. He is well known for his role in Game of Thrones, Dracula Untold, Alien 3.
Oh fuck, he was in Dracula Untold.
Yeah. And the shitty Sandman show that was on Netflix. But Charles Dance is a really good actor too. I like not solid British staple if you're in there.
And I guess we can just start going into like the spoiler-free review, unless you have any other notes for any of these actors going on.
No, I mean I love a lot of the previous works that these folks have been in. Mia Goth is what I would describe as the modern scream queen of horror. She had like that banger trilogy of Pearl, Maxine, and X that were all pretty solid in my opinion.
That's a hell of an order to put those in. The second, third, then the first.
Oh, well, that's just kind of the order in which they came to light in my brain. Oscar Isaac, modern Star Wars star. He also did a couple other cool things. Jacob Elordi came out with, he was in Saltburn. Christoph Waltz, fucking awesome actor. Django. Oh, God. Is it Inglourious Bastards?
Yeah. Christoph is just a beautiful
guy. He's amazing. I love his voice, too. It's always fun to listen to. Charles Dance, I already mentioned. Ralph Ineson. Just a fantastic cast. Also, David Bradley, Mr. Filch. I believe is the guy. I think he's in this. So
groundskeeper, not librarian.
We got everybody from Django Unchained to friggin' Harry Potter, dude.
To John Wick 2 through 4.
Yeah, dude, I'm back. Thinking I'm back. Yeah. So yeah, let's get into this spoiler-free review.
Yes, kind of want to open it up with talking about like the aesthetic of the movie, because I think it opens up in 18. Let's see where the hell. Movie opens up in 1859 in the furthermost north. So that is when like everything is kind of at the peak. So anything between, I think it's like 1820 to 1857. So like Victorian era Gothic, all the architecture is very Gothic. The outfits, I didn't write down the the wardrobe person, but the outfits were fucking on point.
Yeah, they were awesome. The costume designer.
Yeah, and the sets were incredible. And one thing that I loved was that this was a dark movie going into it, being in like the setting that it's in and the subject matter of like, dude, we're going to take a lot of dead people and we're going to make one big dead person that is going to be dark. And everything around it is supposed to be dark, but the set wasn't dark, John.
Yeah, it was very easy to see. I like that. I love dark movies that I can actually watch. Unlike movies like Voyage of the Demeter, which I know you and I watched that together. It was a very good movie. However, it was so incredibly dark, and we had to watch it at night, in the middle of the night, with all the windows shut, all the lights off, just to be able to see the vampire on the boat.
Yeah, and you can't even turn up the brightness because it just gets distorted.
Yeah, it was
so
terrible.
You're not seeing anything.
But Frankenstein did not need that, and it had a similar time period, similar treatment, modern take on the story. Amazing. Like super fun to watch.
Yeah, and also again, just to hammer this point in for anyone who would maybe listen, dark movies don't have to be dark. It's okay.
Yes,
we need to see what's going on. It's beneficial for the audience to see what's going on in your movie with pictures. So thank you in advance.
Yeah. So the set was incredible. The cinematography was incredible. The storytelling I thought was enjoyable. I mean, of course, it's Guillermo's take on the what did you say? 1812 novel.
1818.
1818. So it's got some older source material, but it had like a modern spin on it. I had a good time with it. I personally really enjoyed this movie. It was very passionate. Had a lot of feelings going around through all the actors at the very end. It was great.
Yeah, it was beautifully done. And Oscar Isaac's performance was just a blast.
So was Jacob Elordi's.
Oh, Jacob Elordi, it was like bar none. He looked Jacob Elordi played the monster, and he played the role of like a kid just wanting his dad to love him.
Absolutely.
Perfectly.
Looking for his own family.
Yeah, it was incredible. He wore all the emotion on his face. Just the way that he was, like, his presence on screen was pretty demanding. Like, you didn't really want to look away whenever he was up there. And Oscar Isaac was intense, like, the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It really made me think of myself as a monster being 6'5", as Jacob Elordi is. He towered over most people. So
The entire cast might as well have been like the Lollipop Guild compared to that man.
Yeah.
Then Christoph Waltz, whenever he makes his appearance, you just want to watch because it's Christoph.
Yeah, a written-in character, right? New character to the story, which provided a good reasoning behind the movie taking place. I mean, like his financial additions to the research helped bring the project to life, which not like Christoph Waltz, but Christoph Waltz's character in the movie provides the financial aid to help make this happen. So it's good motivation for like the movie taking place.
Yeah, he's like a plot driver.
Yeah, that's. Thank you, cinema sir.
So as far as like how tying in what's happening on screen to what happened in the book goes, we're not going to be like the best source there.
There's also been a couple iterations of the book published.
Yeah, so I guess there's been 3 published. So I guess the initial novel was written in 1818 when Mary Shelley was 18, and then it was republished by her dad a few years later, and then republished again around a decade later by Mary Shelley herself with a few additions. But as far as like we've learned, it's that because the movie itself is split into 2 portions. You have Victor Frankenstein's take on what's going on, and then you have like the monster's tale. And then for Victor's, apparently a lot of that was from Guillermo himself, not from Mary Shelley, like very loosely based on the source material, but that's as far as I know. So, but as far as the movie itself,
strictly as a spoiler-free review, if you're looking for a Victorian era gritty take on an old story that has some nice, exciting flavor in a new way and new additions from the old novel added in by the director himself. It's a very, very fun movie. You get perspective on Maker and Monster, and you get to a point where you're either feeling bad for the creator or for the monster, but never really at the same time. And when you finish it up, you're left potentially feeling emotionally conflicted, but at the same time, you're just like, wow, that was a great movie.
Yeah.
This was a 2.5 hour movie that I really enjoyed. It took us a long time to get through it because we like to pause and talk and stuff, but we had a great time. It was a nice emotional experience. I would not call this a horror in the sense of I'm being scared. This is a nice period piece bringing an old story to life with new and exciting characters.
Yeah, not a horror at all in the traditional sense of like jump scares, any of that. If it was horror at all, it'd be the graphic, I guess, nature of the material.
Yeah, but that was also just kind of the gritty time period. It's a nice Victorian era supernatural period piece. Go watch it.
Yeah, definitely recommend. It is 2.5 hours, so but it doesn't feel long. You know it's a long movie, but you're enjoying it the whole time.
Yeah, I like the pacing of it. I actually did. And there's a lot of movies that we've kind of been ruined by modern technology with our attention spans with short form media. I think that this was a movie that was released that knows that the audience may have a shorter attention span, and in that way it broke the story up in a very digestible way.
Yeah, because it breaks it into two pieces, and then within those two pieces, kind of feels like you're watching two separate movies, like two standalone that get tied together very well in the middle. But I do like that it was released to a streaming service, and that also didn't compromise on attention span stuff.
Streaming service that was also available to the lower tier options as well. Because Netflix likes to do this thing where they don't give you every title on the service if you pay for the $8 a month. I'm cheap. I'm poor. I don't like to pay for the $20 a month version of Netflix. I pay for the $10 a month version of Netflix, and we got this day one. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Keep doing that, Netflix.
Yeah, in the era of like 17,000 subscription services, it's nice that you don't have to ball out for premium on every single one to get all the content.
Yeah, or have to pay $80 to go to the movie midnight release and then get snacks and stuff, right? Because you and I went to a movie recently and we had to pay like $50 just for tickets.
Yeah, granted, my prices were inflated because I got the Marcus popcorn buckets.
Oh,
oops!
Thanks, Trump. Go watch it.
All right, so getting into spoilers, we're gonna try to not make this procedural, so but we are gonna try to break it into sections so that we can kind of chapter it out. So the story starts on the ship, and then we get Victor's story, then we get the monster's story, and then we get the ship again. So we'll try to start off with like the things that we liked about how the movie opened with the ship portion up in the Arctic Circle, or the furthermost north. Even though they don't quite get to furthermost north, they're getting further north, but they don't quite get to most. But so we're going to start out with that, and then we'll move along from there. But the story takes place in the furthermost north in 1857. That's when the story opens up, and we're in the Arctic Circle. We meet the captain of the ship, and the captain, as far as like the story goes, I love how they tied in his story with Victor's. They're like parallel characters, and the story gets to be like a cautionary tale for the captain who's pushing his crew to get to like their goal, like they're contracted out to do.
This captain is super intent on completing the mission, whether or not it puts the lives of his crew in jeopardy.
Yeah, what an obedient crew too.
Oh yeah, they're super loyal guys.
And at first I was thinking that I was overly thinking, wow, these guys are, they're just going to listen and they're going to do everything that they're told. But then at the end, whenever they're on the boat again, you realize they've only moved like 50 yards into the ice sheet.
Oh yeah.
So it's not like they were struggling for years. They were just
Yeah. They're like, hey man, can we turn around? He's like, we're almost there. He's like, I can turn around and I can see the sea. It's right there. Please.
He's like, would you stop your yapping and just keep grinding this ice out?
It's fine. We're not that far away. We can still turn around. It wasn't like we're so far in, we have to keep pushing. It's like, we can just reverse and back out,
Dude,
man.
we just started.
It's
you
fine.
guys are already
The
complaining.
monster pushed us once and we're back.
But yeah, the captain's relationship with the crew was also solid. Like,
Yeah, you can tell they've been through shit together and they trust him.
yeah, and he immediately addresses dissent. Like, he just addresses everybody all at once. And even though he's being a hard ass of like, it is not your place to talk to me. I'm the captain.
Yeah.
We're doing this. That he still addresses them. He still has the
air.
Yeah, the presence of
authority.
air of authority, the presence of mind to still address the people who are for him. But the way that we see the sled dogs out in the distance whenever they hear the explosion after he just got done calming down the sailors, and we see the reaction on his face, him going out and then grabbing Oscar Isaac, our Victor Frankenstein, and bringing back his mangled body while hearing a
He's
beast.
got a broken leg. Or not. It's metal.
Yeah, seeing the way that they handled that, bringing him back, and then the introduction of the monster was fucking beautiful.
Yes.
We hear his voice right away, and they put a lot of emphasis on like the
Bestial
nature
form of it. Yeah.
is very guttural, a lot of bass to his voice,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see him just walking around with like the bear skin and the pelts and all like these raggedy clothes as he's like trudging through the snow and everything, and it just looked beautiful.
Yeah, I really like that. So I guess the opening scene for me with them in the boat, frozen in ice, made me think of The Terror. And it's because I also haven't read it. I watched it, and it's kind of like a similar story of like getting through like a ship, getting through the Arctic Circle, or two ships in that case. But I thought it was like, that was cool. I thought that story was kind of written around a similar time period. So it was interesting to see that they were both focused on tackling like the same issue, at least with this like underlying starter story.
And The Terror, that's a show on Netflix, correct?
Yeah. And then, the monster, like the way that they put him into the story right away, I loved, because us as an audience and them as the crew both have the same perception of this is a monster. Like,
Right.
This is scary. It's a scary monster that is killing people. It's got this really bestial voice to it. We can't see its face. It's just this entity. And we as an audience view it the same way, and we're scared of it. And I loved how they portrayed it immediately.
Yeah, he's like a towering figure. You never get a good look at his face. You just see his intense eyes.
Yeah.
Whenever they do have a close
And
up on him.
they focused on his eyes throughout the movie too. I love how, I think it was his left eye. It kind of kept having that like sliver of like that animalistic back. God, I wish I knew.
Yeah, it
the
looks like
term
a
for it.
cat's eye or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, or like, you're in the middle of the night and you like shine a light and you see like the back of their eyes shooting back at you. Sheep are really well, like sheep are really like creepy at night if you ever like look at them in the eye. Yeah. Most animals are, but sheep in particular, because they're in a herd, so you see a lot of them.
Just staring at you in the darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah, the introduction of the monster was beautiful. The way that his presence is made known to the sailors whenever he gets to the ship and is just throws people like they're nothing.
Yeah.
You really get an idea of the power.
And he's not there to fucking kill everybody. He's there to, I want him. And he says it.
Yeah. He's like, what does he say? He's like,
Give him to me.
Victor.
Yeah.
It was intense.
It was awesome. And the weaponry that this ship had, super cool. Because I love like the single shot rifles, I think is what they have. But then as he like gets up closer to the boat and everyone kind of gets back on deck. I think this might happen later in the movie. I can't remember, but they get like this revolving blunderbuss.
Oh yeah,
It's
the
so
blunderbuss.
sick, dude. So sick.
That's what sent him into the ocean the first time.
Yes.
Right.
And then they're like, well, he's dead.
Yeah, and the way that they delayed the story didn't feel like a shoe-in. It was all like, okay, so he's up here, and then they whip out this insane-looking blunderbuss. We've seen that the shots aren't doing anything,
Mhm.
and then send him into the water. And that makes sense to give time for Victor to tell his story.
It is absolutely perfect in my opinion because it has presented itself in this stressful situation. It's killing people. It's throwing them around like rag dolls. They finally are able to get it off the ship. Then they get it to sink in the water and they think, oh, thank God it's over. And then they talk to this guy that they just found and he's mangled and he's bleeding. And then they talk to him and he says, he's not dead. He's not dead. And then they ask why. And then it's the perfect platform for him to start sharing the story, which is a perfect plot point for us to start hearing that side. He's not just like this dude that they picked up and he's like, oh, well, let me tell you a story about my son.
Yeah, where they're not interested in all.
Yeah, they're like, all right,
oh my
old man,
God, this
whatever.
guy."
No, but it was a good way for the writing to segue everything for us as an audience to be introduced to it at the same time as the crew of the ship or the captain of the ship.
Yeah, and then at this point, like Victor's character, it's odd because this is the end of the movie that we are seeing, just with a delay in the middle. And seeing Victor be like he has dropped his ego to a point where he's like, send me out there, let me die. And it kind of throws you for a spin based on how Victor is then portrayed in his tell-all story to the captain, where you see the presence of his ego appear more, but on the ship, he has become humbled. He's become humbled because he's essentially fucked when he's on the ship. So it kind of gets you to the point of like how exactly did Victor get here, and it drives interest into whatever's going to happen next. But
I'm sorry, I was looking for a funny meme. I'm trying to remember the name of the guy, but I don't remember the name of the movie either, but they interview him and he's like, well, I could tell you my story. But we got to go to the end and then I'll periodically jump back in time to where it'll seemingly make a complete story. And then
the other guys?
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yeah. He's like, well, I could start telling you this story, but to go to the end and then periodically backtrack and eventually you'll get back to the end. That's what it feels like. Like it's a perfect one of those.
Yeah.
That was a stupid joke. You can cut that if you want.
Yeah, and I think before we move on to Victor's tale, one of my favorite parts from the beginning was just a little goofy side note with Victor Frankenstein. Whenever he's like, "Do you know what that name means?" and then the captain says, "Conqueror, one that wins it all." Whenever he was saying
That's
that,
a
I'm
lie.
like, is he referring to Victor Frankenstein? Or is he just saying what Victor means?
I think Victor, right?
It's absolutely just Victor. I'm like,
Yeah.
that was a little on the nose at that portion to be like, do you know what Victor means?
He's like, that's so stupid. Wasn't it
It's
because
like,
the
yes, I
monster?
know what it
Isn't that
means.
because the monster yells Victor? Not so much the name, but the word.
I don't think that was brought up because the monster kept saying, Victor, bring him to me. I think it was because Victor was starting the tale of his story, and he's like, Victor, my father gave me that name. I didn't ask for that name.
Oh,
and
that's
then
right.
I gave it to him. And then it sets up, it's supposed to set up Conqueror because he conquered death, right? So it's a little on the nose to be like, hey,
Oh.
audience, fucking here, listen to this
I'm
tale.
just learning this right now.
So, but that was probably one of the silliest things that I enjoyed.
Sure.
But we can move on to part one, Victor's tale.
So then Victor begins telling his side of the story, which doesn't it open it up at him as a child?
Yes. Yeah, and I like the symbolism that they used in this with his mother was veiled, but he was talking about how he loved his mother and that his father only married his mother because of like her dowry.
Mm-hmm. And she was kept pure. Like her character was kept pure throughout.
Yeah, she was supposed to be like an angel of a person.
Yeah.
And then they also had her wearing a very flowy night dress, like at the moment that he was praying to his guardian angel at that statue, and then his mother comes in dressed in like the garb of an angel. I was like, oh, okay, so that's like a really
Yeah.
really easy parallel right there. And then they kind of throw it in later too with like that the dark angel that comes in whenever he hits that.
I was gonna ask you if Emmy said anything about that in the book. Like, was that a thing?
I'm not sure. So Emmy's my sister, and she was talking about how the as a big Frankenstein fan was talking that Guillermo took a lot of liberties with Victor's backstory. So the abusive father is something that was made up for the screen. That in the novel, I guess, Victor talks about having a very loving family and had a great childhood and stuff. So in this, it's a lot of
Skewed, but it also is a driving point of the dad motivating him to get into the medical world.
to get into the medical world, and then for Victor to harbor resentment against his
Yeah,
dad
yep.
and wanting to best him. But
Well, the resentment on the dad was mainly from the death of the mom.
yes,
Yeah. Which, by the way, the freaking death mask stuff,
fucking rad.
awesome. Dude, it looked awesome. I love the ivory. I think it was ivory, like the ivory casket that she was in with just the face being revealed. I don't know if that was like accurate to the time period, but super cool how it was just like kind of like encased around her, just her face, and then the mask was placed on top. And then it did it again for the dad, but everyone was kind of like, yeah, good.
Yeah, and even just the color scheme for stuff like that, like with the casket was very reminiscent toward whenever Victor is being taught anatomy, and the dad is quizzing him. That Victor is holding like an ivory
Yep.
set of like a pregnant woman,
Super cool.
and his mom was also pregnant.
And died in childbirth.
Yeah, died in
Yep.
childbirth, and then is buried in an ivory casket
Yep.
with the same kind of like puzzle piece system of put the mask on the
Yeah, I thought
casket.
that was awesome.
Yeah, and the mom was buried in white ivory with like a red headdress covered, and then whenever the dad eventually dies, his is all ebony. He's
Yep.
supposed to be a dark negative character that's like pushing Victor forward. But I love that, like the stark differences between how Victor viewed his mom and how Victor viewed his dad.
Which isn't necessarily a new thing that we see in storytelling,
Right.
but it was very obvious symbolism in each of those scenarios. And it was also like, it was just very beautifully done with just the imagery.
Yeah, and it's nice getting a few layups, you know? Oh, I don't.
Oh, we don't like that guy. Right. Yeah. And the brother who the mom dies giving birth to is innocent in this whole thing. However, Victor does seem to, didn't he harbor a little bit of resentment to him?
Yeah, or Victor resented the hell out of William, I think, based on how his dad viewed William.
Yeah, because he was like a perfect blonde boy. I remember blonde being like a very particular word
And again,
that the dad used.
yeah, saw William as like a beacon of light, while Victor had more characters of his mother, was like more melancholy,
Like
was
a
more,
constant reminder.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the dad, they also say, did not have a good relationship with the mom. So the dad constantly would like look down on the mom as being a negative by being depressed, and he's like, I'm not
She-
down for this, and I see a lot of that in Victor, and I don't like either
Yeah,
of them.
and she was there for procreation only, like no passion, no love in the relationship. It was just she was only there to provide children, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think that was like, I could be wrong, but whenever she was wearing a veil in the beginning, whenever the dad came home, she was just red. It was, there's like, I guess you could see that as like she wasn't really a person to the dad. Like whenever the father came home, he didn't really see his wife as his wife. He saw his wife as an object for procreation.
Yeah.
And but Victor loved his mom.
Yep.
He loved and adored his mom. And this portion, I really liked how it's set up, how Victor views his dad in such a hateful way of like thinking that, okay, he's the reason that my mom is dead. He's supposed to be such a good surgeon, but he failed my mother. And then sets from that point to conquer death.
Yep.
And then that shows you how the dad is, so that as the story progresses and after the monster is created, you start seeing Victor really come out, and that how Victor is really just his dad. He's just his dad and he doesn't realize that. So, or as the story progresses, that Victor becomes his dad. And it's nice to see how the dad was before all this, so you get to see the direct parallel between those two.
Mm-hmm. And then he grows up. Uh-oh. He commits himself to the medical practice and has a special fascination in human anatomy and what eventually becomes necromancy, and then develops a process to virtually get the body functioning but not self-sustaining. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, because he sets out to.
Because he goes to like medical school. I believe that's where the trial takes place. It's at a medical school. He's presenting groundbreaking research.
Yeah, so he's at a disciplinary tribunal, I guess, because he's at the college or whatever the
Yeah.
university is. I don't remember the name, but he's at the disciplinary tribunal, and he's trying to present his work to justify the work that he's doing in front of like the 3 main doctors or whatever the hell. And then we see was it just a half of man?
It's like a third. I mean, like a yeah. I mean, like 2. But I believe there was 1 arm,
Yeah,
and then it was attached to the torso, and the torso was kind of you could say ripped in half, or like kind of slashed at an angle, so where like there was only a shoulder on the other side, and there was a lot of leaky parts still, and the head was still intact, and then he had a whole bunch of probes plugged into different places, and then he has like this battery system.
Yeah, the batteries. It took me until like 30 minutes or 2 hours ago to realize that those were fucking batteries. I'm like, dude, why is he carrying around light
Oh
bulbs?
yeah. It's like a battery system to like give the thing energy, and then depending on the probe placement, allowed the certain systems to start functioning again, and then it reanimates, but it doesn't have a consciousness, and that's his dilemma at the time.
Yeah, and it's not self-sustaining. So
Yeah.
like later with Christoph Waltz character, is it Heinrich or Kiki, as he's so charmingly called?
Yeah,
That he introduces like, oh well, we need to put the probes up like above the lymphatic system. You have them in the circulatory or the nervous system, and that decays rapidly.
which was super fucking cool to see. By the way, like they had like that collector's tablet of a human's lymphatic system on a slab of oak or
Oh,
something,
yeah.
and it's like shellacked on there. Super cool. That's like something you'd actually see in a museum now. They have like that traveling medical history museum.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen a lymphatic system. I thought that was really cool. And then they use it as like a diagram of you should put the probes here and display some symmetry. And symmetry is where you'll find your answer.
Yeah, I appreciated how like things don't have to make sense like literally in the real world. They don't
No,
have to make
no.
sense, but as long as inside of the movie, the rules that you're making, you're spelling them out and you're abiding
Mhm.
by them. I can appreciate
Yeah.
that. So
And I think you and I both clocked it pretty early that so Kiki, Christoph Waltz,
I think it's Heinrich, right?
I don't know. He is Mia Goth's uncle, who is engaged to his younger brother.
Yep.
And Heinrich approaches Victor, knowing his research because he attended the tribunal.
Yep.
And approaches him afterward and says, "Hey, I want you to do this for me." And then it comes to a conversation of money, and then Christoph Waltz basically says, "You don't have a budget. Like blank check, whatever you need, I'll get it for you." At this point, I realized it was like, well, he's either dying.
Yeah.
Christoph Waltz is either dying and looking for a way to extend it, or he's doing something for like personal gain in terms of like military or like bodyguards or something. Because I think the original speech that Victor had during the tribunal was something along the lines of, "In war we die, but this could help prolong life after." Which I thought was really cool. I thought it was an interesting take on it of like justification of necromancy, because like nobody uses the term necromancy in it, which
Right.
I thought was interesting because like that's a very clear like he's the world's first necromancer. I mean, like that is such like a term that is thrown out in like fantasy nowadays, but I guess it's not. It's supposed to be science fiction. But I loved the justification because it was a driving force to give Victor the funds to do the research. Of course, you have this millionaire benefactor that's willing to fund the research fully, driving him to push for the answer
Yeah,
that gets him there. And then that's how we get the monster. I thought it was like a fantastic driving force. And apparently Christoph Waltz is a written in character by Guillermo to help with the plot. Yeah, it was a nice driving point for the plot.
yeah, and the way that they spelled out Christoph's character, who's Heinrich, the way that they spelled out his character with, yeah, he shows up and he's wearing like gold cladded shoes, and he's got a cane with like an ivory handle of like a
very
naked woman or
clearly
something
a
on
man
there.
of wealth.
Yeah, and the way that whenever he shows up, you clock immediately that what he's going to be the what do you call that? The guy with the money, not just benefactor. Thank you. I think you just said it like 2 or 3 times. I just fucking didn't catch it.
Idiot.
But yeah, you clock his importance right away, and then whenever it goes into later, whenever we realize that Heinrich is dying, he's been dying.
Syphilis.
Yeah, syphilis. And the way that they hinted at that early on was so well done. Whenever Victor first goes to Heinrich's house, he sees, or Heinrich is in the middle of taking photography. He's in the middle of taking pictures, which was like a new art form. Then
That's like his thing.
yeah, that's
He's like a photographer. Like that is, he's not just getting into it. That's like his passion project or something.
yeah. He runs munition factories on the DL, but he's mostly focused on photography. And he has a model who calls him Kiki, not Heinrich. So she's got pet names for him. We haven't seen anything about him being married. He's got these models in. And during the time period, models for photography and models who were used for whenever you have them standing in place and you're painting, they were all viewed in the same vein as prostitutes. So we know that is the company that he's keeping and where he is. And then so you see that he's living like this lavish life and very promiscuous.
Sure.
So, I mean, it hints at, okay, so this man is dying. How could he be dying in this time period before penicillin, I wonder? And then syphilis. So it all tied in beautifully, I thought. And I also liked how they had the memento mori, which I don't know a whole lot about, but it was the skeleton on the table with all the peaches, and he's all like, "You're taking a bite of the peach. The peach is supposed to be the beauty of life, and you're eating the peaches." Fucking love that. And then whenever we first meet Elizabeth, that she's holding the skull, so we know that she's going to be tied into death later. Like she is very tied with death.
Also, the writing of her character and her like fascination with insects and stuff. Like she's a fan of oddities.
Yeah.
So she's not normal, like in the sense of another woman that he is going to see wed to a family member, and she's just going to be like kind of a background character. She has like an inclination for the obscure, which kind of pushes her to be fascinated in his research.
Yeah, just beautifully done. And then with the insects, kind of before they're like catching butterflies and shit, we see her in the room with Victor and William and Heinrich, and they're all talking. Well, sorry, the guys are talking, and then as soon as Elizabeth starts speaking her opinion, both Heinrich and William get up and leave the room, which kind of shows why Elizabeth is the character that she is. Because as soon as she starts voicing her opinions after sitting at a table where all these men are talking about all their opinions, their philosophies of life, that as soon as the woman opens her mouth on what she believes, and she's talking about like war and all these ideas aren't worth dying for, how beautiful are these ideas if people are dying and whatever, and while all these great men are at home, that she is constantly ignored and she's not viewed as a person or person of significance. So she has that connection to insects where it's like, these are things that society views as insignificant and small and irrelevant, but to her they're important because she can see herself in the shoes of the bugs and the insects.
Bug shoes.
And then I loved how that tied in whenever her and Victor are hanging out and they're catching butterflies. and she's trying.
Which was weird. It was like a date sequence, and it's like, aren't you about to get married to your brother? It was weird.
Yeah, and
But yes, I understand. And like Victor had like this draw to her because she was fascinated with what he was doing. He was fascinated that she was fascinated that he was doing.
yeah, he felt heard and
Yeah.
seen or something.
She gets me.
Yeah, she gets me.
Yeah.
Then-
And I get her.
Then he turns into a bit of an incel, but
He does. He's like, oh, leave him for me. But yeah.
with the butterflies, and she's out there trying, and she's trying really hard to catch these butterflies, but none of them. She's unable to do it. And then Victor just holds out his hand, and then one lands on his hand.
Yeah. So fun fact about butterflies, they don't produce their own sodium. So he must have been really salty. Because fun fact about butterflies and moths, they're actually I think the third or fourth arrival on decaying material. So when a body hits the ground, like when something dies, you're gonna get flies, you're gonna get pollinators like wasps and stuff to predate on the flies, and then you're also gonna get beetles, ground beetles that'll start with the decay process, other than like the natural systems that kind of shut down and stuff. So your body's going to start decomposing itself. The beetles are going to go in to eat. The flies are going to go in to lay eggs. The wasps are going to go in to prey on those things. And then you're also going to get butterflies and moths that are coming in to feed on the salt content of your body.
That adds like an entire another element to the significance
Yeah.
of the butterfly
He used to
catching
be an
scene.
entomologist.
Was that? Yeah, you see them with butterflies. Later, you see her laying down on the ground with beetles doing like portraits or taking
Yep.
notes.
And it's all part of like these insects assist in the decomposition process.
Yes, I didn't even think about that. That's like that's a beautiful tie-in to how morbid the story is and what the story.
And her fascination with it. It's like she also kind of has this fascination with death that's adjacent to what he's doing.
And I think my last point on the butterflies is that as soon as it lands on his hand, he asks her what to do with it, and they both agree that they should put it in a cage. So that is very telling for how the story progresses, is that even though she tried and she wanted this beautiful thing, and it was constantly escaping her, it approached him, and their first instinct was to put it in a cage and lock it away instead of like embracing the fact that the beauty of nature just is around you. He wanted it for himself. Putting it in that.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, this is really, really well done. Also, their first like meeting outside of the home, whenever he like tries to hide in the confessional.
Oh yeah,
that was hilarious.
Forgot about that.
I was such a big fucking fan of that. That was like the first bit of. I mean, I guess other than like portions of the whenever they're in like that arena at the tribunal, that was like another just little like punch of humor in there to get you through the.
Well, yeah, because in that sense he is playing God.
Yeah,
like,
that's another great note, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And then she sees right through it, and she continues to see right through the fact that he's playing God.
Yep.
She doesn't like what he's doing. She thinks it's very arrogant.
Yeah, it's a very fun little tidbit that kind of has an overarching theme through the story.
That's beautiful. I love that, dude. I love that.
Yeah. But carrying on with Victor's story, I want to get kind of towards the big climax of reanimating this body. What a seamstress, I must say. Victor has a fantastic eye for sewing. I mean, like his work on this, and going through active battlegrounds and picking dead bodies, and he's like, oh, I prefer the tall ones, grab the tall ones, blah blah blah. He's got like hundreds of bodies in like this cool cellar basement type thing in this weird freaky tower that they built, and he's dissecting out different pieces and he's patching it all together. He looks pretty good, pretty healed up, I would say. And fun fact about that makeup, for Jacob Elordi to sit and get in full makeup for what you would call like the nude portions of the film, took him 11 hours.
11?
Yeah, straight. It's a full shift, and then you go to production. Like you go record after that. for the scenes where he was only wearing the jacket, like in the wilderness, and all he had to do was the face and arms and stuff. It was still 6 hours. Of makeup.
Jesus Christ.
So it was a lot. And it took them 9 months to build the set for the tower and kind of everything that they did in the tower. So like the machinery to reanimate and like catch the lightning and throw it down. And then it took 120 days of shooting to complete the film. And it was filmed in the UK and in Canada. So like all the frozen tundra scenes, I think, are all in Canada.
Oh, that makes sense.
So that's kind of cool.
That's a fucking great thing about Guillermo is that you can always count on practical effects. Like,
Yeah,
it's not going
He's
to be
really good at it.
the CGI that ended up kind of looking a little goofy were the wolves
Mhm.
attacking the sheep, and that
Yes.
all of that
Yeah.
was kind of goofy. But as far as the
It's hard to
significant
train
portions,
wolves and sheep to die.
yeah, believe it or not,
Yeah. I get that. But like, Guillermo has always focused on practical effects to kind of help carry the film and add like another layer of awesome effect to it. In Hellboy 2, there's like this like golem dude that has like this chain hand that he can like punch people from like, really far away. It's a fully functioning arm
is it
that
really?
they made for it. Yeah.
Yes,
All the creatures in that film are awesome, and it's all practical effects. And it's no different here. I mean, it was great practical effects throughout the whole thing. The tower was like really ominous and scary, and that was a real set that they built. And like this huge lightning rod to catch everything and then retract into like this kind of octopus portion where it would like flare out and hit all the little
Oh
lightning
yeah,
rod
yeah,
beams.
yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah,
Super cool.
The set for the tower reminds me of like Saruman's tower from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
How they had to build
sure.
like a mini set for that.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. It looks so much better than like putting in
CGing
some
and shit.
yeah.
Or I would even take like a scale model. I would have done that too.
I think that's what they did. They did a scale model for
Did
the
they?
tower. Yeah.
Okay. Other than like the set that they were actually on.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But then like as the story progresses, we find out that the reason, like the driving force for Christoph Waltz, it wasn't a military aspect of like building like a personal guard or something like that. It is because he is dying of syphilis. I think that we should just spell that out.
Yeah.
Plain as day. Because the storm is forming overhead, thunder can be heard, the time is nigh, the creature is ready. All of the probes are in place. The lightning rod just needs to get placed. And as Victor is placing the rod, Heinrich, is that his name?
Yeah. Heinrich.
Comes into frame and says, "Now we need to talk." And it's like, okay, well, here's the point that we all knew was coming. He's fucking dying. He takes out like he finds him without like the wig or whatever, and then he's like, he looks like shit, and it's because he's dying. And then he's like, "Victor, put me in the body." This is my one big deal with the movie. It's like you just funded this dude to create life, not to transfer it from one vessel to another.
Yeah, wrong
This
movie.
This is a whole different ball game in terms of technology, my guy. He's like, "Put me in the body, make it for me." It's like, there's no way to do that. And that's why Victor's like, no, I'm not doing that, dude. So I just thought it was like, yeah, that's like my one blunder of like, this isn't even the same type of technology for that.
Yeah. Another thing about that I thought was interesting was that Victor, while pursuing this like fucking out of left field idea that like I'm gonna sew a bunch of bodies together and then I'm gonna make one big guy, like that is ridiculous in itself. But he was all like, "You have syphilis, dude. That's fucking impossible. I can't do that." Just like just like the line that he drew of like, dude, syphilis. That's not good. That's not good. Not good blood.
I
dude."
don't want my syphilis man in my perfect pizza man.
Yeah, like the fucking that whole thing was hilarious. Whenever Oscar Isaac turns to the screen, he's all like, put me in the body," and he's like, "No."
This guy's hot. You're not hot. I don't want you and a hot guy. Yeah,
I just fucking love that.
Yeah, and then like I understand the point of having a hole in the middle of this tower for the lightning to funnel through, but why did the ledge have to be rounded?
Well, because it was meant to catch water.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, so that facility was like I think it was a water purification plant.
Okay, that makes much more sense.
It just wasn't finished. Yeah.
Why not add some scaffolding.
Yeah, hell of
over
a
the top
Chekhov's
it.
gun to see a
My
giant
God.
fucking void in the floor.
Dude.
I wonder
It's
who's gonna fall down that.
Yeah, it's so like, obviously, syphilis man, Christoph Waltz, fucking trying to fight over whether or not he gets to be put in this body, fucking falls into the hole and just, oh man, it's graphic. He gets the Gwen Stacy special with that, dude. Just splatters on the ground. And then I remember Victor like going down there and like trying to like pick him up, and then like he pulls away and his brains are like stuck to the floor. That was so fun. It was so
fucking
fun.
hilarious.
But it's also like, ooh, that's a problem I'm gonna have to deal with in a little bit. He's like, I'll deal with that later. I got a body to reanimate first.
And dude, I love how this whole process was taking months. Like this was taking a long time
Oh
for
yeah,
them to set
and it
everything
didn't
up.
come up at all before that.
Yeah, not a bit. So I don't know if he was expecting like to put on like electrodes or electrobes or whatever the hell and get his mind zapped into the body's mind, or if he was like, all right, just kill me, take my brain. Like I don't know what the plan was. I don't know what Christoph's fucking plan was to get put into this new,
because he brought forth the slab of the lymphatic system or whatever, and this would help gain sustainability with the body, right? But they didn't have a single conversation about the soul, right? It was just to help with sustainability of the body. So like once the shock hits, it's good to go. Like you're done.
Yeah, because the brain. So how they did it in the movie was that the brain remembered the past experiences of all the different parts that made him instead of just the brain. So
it would have been like a brain transplant or like some form of like probe in brain direct to probe in other brain to transfer consciousness. But
yeah, so even if it succeeded, even if they did go along with like putting Heinrich or Christoph, that's probably going to be annoying here. You switch between the two names, but even if they succeeded in putting Heinrich's mind in the monster's body, it would have ended up being like 174th Heinrich, and then like 73 would have been every other portion that made up the body.
Well, who knows? I mean, maybe a living consciousness may have had total control, but we don't know.
Yeah, because like whenever the monster said that whenever it dreamed of like memories of different people during the thing. So maybe Heinrich would have been the dominant personality and the others would have just been like a ghost kind of going on.
Maybe.
But I love the idea of dancing around that because it would have just been another movie entirely.
I do agree. And I also think that they should have given Christoph Waltz a little more time to monologue just because I like hearing his voice and talking about. I wish that this topic had come up at a calmer point in the film. That way it could have been a little more dove into.
Yeah, it could have breathed
it's
a little
simply
bit.
not possible. And not because of the syphilis. It's not possible because I'm not building the technology to transfer consciousness. I'm building the technology to give life. Brand new life.
Right.
So, yeah, I thought it was awesome.
So he goes through the monster's made. We don't get the iconic "it's alive" shit, and I don't get totally
Igor
okay with
either.
that. Yeah, we don't get Igor, who apparently didn't exist. Apparently Igor's not even a character in the fucking book. I guess he was just made for the 1930s initial movie of Frankenstein. But yeah, I guess he's not true to source material.
Yeah. And then lightning strikes, right? Then I thought the lightning rod that they dropped that kind of had like that messed up petal. I don't know what like a flower petal type thing happened, like it bent. I thought that was going to be more problematic than it actually ended up being. It kind of just didn't do much. It just like shot into the ground, I think. Didn't do anything.
Yeah, and
it would have been funny if it hit because okay, so building up to that scene when all that was happening and then the lightning rod bent, like the pedal bent, I thought that the bent pedal would hit Christoph Waltz and then that's how it happened. And I was like, oh, that'd be so fun if that's like what happens. It's not. They just kind of just like, it still worked. It's fine. Right? Wouldn't that have been? It would have been kind of goofy.
We get like an iteration of The Fly where Frankenstein the monster gradually becomes Christoph Waltz.
Oh no! I meant like it gives life to the monster, and Christoph Waltz, and Christoph Waltz becomes Igor. That's what I wanted to happen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. You
I
see
hear
it?
ya.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd have been so fucking funny. And because like then you have Christoph Waltz coming from this kind of like aristocratic background to being this well-educated man to being like having literal brain damage because it's on the ground behind him. And then he wakes up, he's like, Master. It would have been so funny, dude.
And then you gradually see like pieces of his brain falling out.
Oh
as he's
yeah,
walking
yeah.
along,
And then like
he's
Christoph
from a
Waltz
dead
just like
man's
kind of
chest.
gets to dive into like a new type of role because he's always kind of played this like super sophisticated aristocratic individual or like a well-educated man, a well-read man. And he does a fantastic job at it. But wouldn't it be fun to give him the range to be like, you're this kind of like simpleton because you have like you're missing half of your cranium, my guy. That would have been funny. And like, would it have made sense? No. Would have been cool though. This is a movie that doesn't make sense, man. You're putting parts of a man together to make a man, another man.
Moving on from Christoph for just
I
just a
guess.
second here. I like how like all that build up didn't end with like the climax of, oh, it's alive, it's moving. I like how it kind of went out with a whimper and Victor went to bed feeling like the whole thing failed. And
Yeah.
that he was screwed. And then the monster seeks out Victor and approaches him at his bed, just like the butterfly approached him in the field. And then as soon as he has the opportunity, the first thing he does while he's like trying to figure out what's going on, how did this work? How successful was this? What is like the cognitive capability of this monster? The whole time he's leading him to the floor below to immediately put him in shackles.
Yeah. Cage the butterfly.
Yeah, he made life and then immediately puts it away.
Mhm.
He's all like, this is not a person, this is a thing. He spent all this time trying to find life in death, and then as soon as he makes that death life, he chains it up like it's not really life.
Mhm.
And you can kind of see other notions of that whenever he's trying to find corpses and he's going to like the scaffolding of people about to be hanged. And he's like, oh, not a good specimen, not a good specimen. So he's seeing people who are alive, treating them like objects.
Dude, I
And then
love
immediately goes to this.
Yeah. I love when he was at the gallows and he smells that guy's breath and he's like, oh, he's going to be dead in a couple of weeks anyway. This is mercy. This is mercy.
You
for
should be glad that you're
Yeah.
being
Yeah, dude. Yeah. No, him caging life immediately. It also kind of pointed to like possibly an unhealed childhood where like
Oh, 100%.
he was much more like his father than we anticipated because he chained it up and he was not a nurturing father because I mean that it's essentially what he was. He created life. He was his father. And at the same time we're also kind of looking at it like he wasn't nurturing to the monster at all. And it also kind of points to maybe some unhealed form of childhood trauma where he never really got to experience childhood because it was almost like I have this great toy now and then as the movie goes on he's like now I'm bored with it, it's time to go.
Yeah, I don't know if he ever learned how to nurture, though it sounded like he spent a lot of time with his mother growing up, that his dad wasn't home a lot, and that because he spent a lot of time with his mother, you'd expect him to be more nurturing. But I think all the hatred he had for his dad kind of molded him into ultimately becoming his dad, someone who was unfeeling, who did not look at life really like it was life. He looked at
As a tool.
Life tools
was a tool.
for his disposal.
Yeah. And I do think the extended time with his dad perhaps jaded him to that side of himself.
Yeah, and then he ends up becoming just like his dad. We see direct parallels of him trying to teach the monster while the monster is literally chained up. Victor had to sit down and he had to go through those lessons. Like he was essentially chained to that desk to
Yeah.
learn
Mhm.
human anatomy, to grow up to be a surgeon or a renowned doctor. And the monster also didn't have a choice to learn. And he was put into school and he wasn't nurtured.
At all.
Yeah, so he's basically just his baby and he's all like, say words, do things.
Mm-hmm.
And Victor acknowledges that everything is new to him. He's like, he's never seen water before. This is his first time experiencing all of this. And for like a brief moment, we see Victor see him as like an innocent child. And then that quickly goes away.
Yeah, and it gets to a point where the opportunity presents itself to introduce a more nurturing character. So there's that scene where Mia Goth is kind of wandering around at night in that awesome nightgown, and she like stumbles kind of like into the den, I believe, right? And we are now seeing the first interaction between the monster and someone that isn't Victor.
Well,
And
second.
she is it second?
Yeah. So whenever they come into the tower, she hears the monster like yelling, "Victor!"
Oh yeah.
So that's the first time, and then the second time she goes because the men again are talking about like the logistics behind everything and like emotionless nonsense, and then she goes down to see the butterfly.
And I think it's like, I think introducing the Mia Goth's character to the monster introduces a character that can nurture the monster to become more of a well-rounded individual rather than something that has been brought up with hate from Victor.
Yeah, which like also parallels his childhood, right? Like
Yeah.
the dad resented Victor, and we don't know why, other than he sees him also as like a downtrodden, depressed kid.
Or like a shadow of the woman that died giving birth to the better son.
Yeah, or also sees it as Victor is more emotionally attached to the wife, or the wife is emotionally attached to Victor, and maybe he resents Victor because of that. So
Or just cut and dry, his dad viewed Victor as a failure, and therefore, because it's not what he wanted
right.
him to be. And now Victor is viewing the monster as a failure because the monster is not what Victor wanted him to be. I think he wanted lightning hits, consciousness flows, fully functioning human immediately,
Yeah.
rather than something that you have to nurture and form in a way that you want them to be thinking about the world.
Yeah, and when did the monster say his first words? Whenever Victor was kind and
And happy.
he was kind, happy, and proud of the monster, and the monster learned the
Victor.
name Victor.
Yeah.
And then
Which shows signs of intelligence.
yeah, and then we see Victor start to become more cruel, and then the monster stops learning. The monster is afraid, and whenever you're afraid, you're not open to learning. You're constantly
Yeah.
going to be in like fight or flight, and he's
Yeah.
not trying to learn at that point. So, and then the next time we see the monster learn is whenever Elizabeth shows kindness and compassion to the monster, and then he learns the
A
word
new
Elizabeth.
world. Yeah.
So,
Yep. And it it's I live that life too. I remember being in elementary school trying to learn, math. And my dad's sitting there and he's like, "Oh, why can't you get it?" And you're crying. You can't, you're like, "I don't know. I'm
You're
trying
like,
my best. It's not
Victor.
right." Victor. And you don't retain it because you're crying about it and you're freaking out about it. But then when someone sits down with you and like slowly guides you through it, you're like, "Oh, okay. I think I get it."
yeah, you need people to be at your pace. Like,
Yeah. Something willing to nurture you. I'm not saying my dad didn't do that. It's a funny scenario. But I think every kid kind of went through that. Like, "I don't get it." And your mom and dad's like, "What do you mean you don't get it? It's so easy." And Victor does the same thing.
yeah, and I like how Victor saw, or how Victor describes the monster as not someone to nurture. He sees it as something to mold.
Yes.
And he literally says that. And that like definitely pushes you in the direction of, okay, Victor, this is Victor's character. He is his father at this point, and that is the person he's going to be throughout the rest of this. Then, similar to kind of saying earlier with how the dad might have been resenting Victor because Victor's mother was giving Victor a lot of attention, we then see Victor start to get jealous of the monster by the attention that Elizabeth is giving the monster after Elizabeth rejects Victor.
Mm-hmm.
So we see that resentment again. We see Victor become consumed with his ego. We see him become consumed with his insecurities. And then he takes it out on the monster, on what is essentially his kid. Then toward the end of this, whenever we start to see kind of an opportunity for Victor to change, right? And this is after Victor has like manufactured the story that the monster killed Heinrich whenever he had to show William the body because he was getting insecure that the monster and Elizabeth were getting so close. He's like, I need to get the monster out of here because I essentially want Elizabeth. That telling William, you got to get out of here. You got to do all this. And he manufactures the story that the monster is a monster and then goes to burn down the whole place. And then there's like a glimmer when he turns around and starts to go back into the facility. But at that point, it's too little too late.
Yeah.
And then
Well, I also viewed that as him pushing away the idea of a nurturing parental figure, because when Elizabeth is there willing to do that part, instead he still urges them to leave, right? He pushes her away from the monster. Be like, no, this is a monster. You guys need to leave.
he's too jealous. He's too proud to accept help from someone else. He still pushes down all these other people. The idea that he's doing anything wrong. He rejects Elizabeth's inputs on how to nurture this new being that exists. He pushes that away. He sees it as nonsense because he's the one who did this. And then instead of trying to reconcile with himself, he pushes that all away and is like, no, I'm done with this. I'm done. This is all wrong.
And then he shows how much gas he has there. And there's way too many gas cans in this place, man. Oh my! I remember Kelsey and I were watching it. I was like, "Oh my god, where is he getting all these gas cans? It's crazy." And then he like blows up the tower, and he thinks that's the end of it.
Yeah, then that takes to the end of Victor, and then he's back on the boat telling more stories, and then the monster's doing all this other stuff. And
well, the monster gets on the ship.
Oh, yeah,
it gets on the ship, and then so this is kind of like the interlude point where the monster gets back on the ship and then infiltrates the captain's quarters. He gets into the captain's quarters, and they have a little back and forth, and then it turns out, no, this thing is speaking, and it wants to share its side of the story, which segues us into part 2 being Frankenstein's monsters story.
Yeah, and that was done beautifully because we know from the first time on the ship, we see that the monster can articulate sentences and can say more words than just Victor. And throughout Victor's story, we haven't heard the monster say anything other than Victor and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And then he's on the ship, and we can hear him articulating his thoughts a little better, but it's not so in depth that we think that he's grown much more from where he was. We still see him as a violent beast.
Well, we heard him in the beginning of the movie say, "Give him to me." So we know that he can speak, but it at this point, there's much less rage behind it. So like, it's kind of that clouded judgment of when you're angry, things might not be as easy to vocalize.
Yeah.
So he's calmer. He's kind of in a place where he can articulate his thoughts better.
Yeah. And that's a good point. I think what I'm saying is that the beginning, whenever we see the monster for the first time on the ship yelling and doing all this other stuff, we're still made to believe that he is a mindless beast who is trying to kill Victor until we get to the point where Victor can till we get to the point where the monster can actually tell its side of the story. And then we start hearing him articulate his thoughts. And when he's in there, and then the captain confronts him with that whole, go ahead, kill us and prove that you are the monster that he speaks of. And then the monster's like, oh yeah, bitch. Oh yeah.
That ain't how it happened.
Well, let me tell you my tale.
Moving into this tale, we are introduced through the perspective of Frankenstein's monster. His experience, firsthand account of what it was like being chained, and then quickly progressing through the explosion of the tower and he slips out the sewage.
Yeah,
Was
the
that
like
the
the
best way?
drain.
The sewage drain thing, and somehow made his way. He fell into the ocean, which made sense for the sewage drain. But then he somehow ends up on shore without knowing how to swim. At first I thought that was kind of stupid because like what the fuck? How did he end up like drifting into shore and like getting so far inland? But I also think that he was in a tide pool when he woke up. So the tide was high, carried him in, tide rescinded, and he was left on ground.
I think that's fair because whenever he wakes up, you see a bunch of other human remains that are left,
And
that,
like pools around him.
that
So it's
Victor
just-
has thrown out the drainage
Yeah.
too. So I think
Yeah.
that's a fair assumption.
And so I think this is, you could look at it symbolically as like this is his purification or like his second chance, almost like a rebirth of him coming into consciousness on shore. And he gets up and starts walking, and he makes his way through the forest, and then he gets shot by a couple of hunters that was definitely, okay. He starts going through the forest and he finds a deer, and eventually is gentle enough to approach the deer and almost make contact. And I think it just shows how gentle of a soul and how innocent he is.
Yeah.
And then the hunters shoot the deer and then shoot him. And it's kind of an shoot first, ask questions later type of scenario where they don't know what it is, but they shot him anyway. And then he's on the run.
Yeah. I loved how he was only shown kindness by Elizabeth and woodland critters in the
At the time.
beginning.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he's like feeding the deer out of his hand and then looks up and it just gets fucking blasted in the face. Heart wrenching.
Yes, absolutely. Bambi's dad just gone.
But yeah, he stands up and then they look at him and without even like getting answers, I mean, he can't really speak at this point, but yeah, they just immediately start fucking shooting at this
Yeah.
poor guy. So he is only shown cruelty by man.
Yes.
And that still counts because Elizabeth, woman, but whatever.
Okay.
But with Victor, I don't really think he gets to meet the brother, but he's not shown kindness by either of them. He's not shown kindness by the hunters, only by the deer and eventually the rats.
Oh, yes. Yes. But so he gets shot and then he makes his way to like this farm, right?
Yep.
And this is kind of where the bulk of his story takes place. It's him hiding in this, I don't know what you want to call it, like a workshop type thing, like almost like a water wheel type area where like there's a bunch of gears and stuff. It really reminded me of the blacksmith workshop from Pirates of the Caribbean. But yeah, there's like a ton of gears and shit in this room, and it's dark. I mean, like nobody's in there, nobody is going in there for whatever reason, and he like kind of ducks and hides under the gears and stuff, and then he decides that like this is a safe place. It's just me in here. I am not gonna get hurt by anyone. I'm not gonna hurt anyone. And then this is like kind of where he nestles down for a good chunk of his story.
Yeah, he nestles down and he realizes he wants to be in a family. He
Yeah.
wants a family. He sees how the daughter is being raised by the old man and
Yeah, he becomes this like, I mean, basically a peeper, because there's like this hole in the wall, and then he's like seeing this nice farm family interact with each other and
in the
seeing
most
how
wholesome sense of the word, he's a peeper. Yeah.
yeah, he's seeing a functioning family with compassion towards each other, and they take care of each other, and he's like, oh,
Yeah, and the head pats.
I want that. Yeah, the
He's
head
patting
pats.
himself
He
on
wanted
the
head
head.
pats so
I was
much.
like, oh man, this poor
And-
guy.
Yeah, and he's just learning that like this is a sign of affection and stuff like that. And then he gets to a point where he starts performing duties for the family
Yeah, it becomes the
because they
spirit of
yeah,
the
and so
woods.
I think it's worth noting that like the grandpa's blind, right?
Yep.
And he starts referring to like the entity doing these things for him around because it's his property. He refers to the entity as like the spirit of the woods,
Yeah.
spirit of the forest, because it's Mr. Filch, right?
Yeah.
And he's blind. And so like we were talking a little bit about it before the recording, and it's like maybe because he was blind, he had like heightened senses of heightened senses in order to detect the entity on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, and also of all the adults living in that farm, he was the only one to, because he was very sincere with like, oh, the spirit of the woods has gathered this wood.
Yeah.
And then whenever he sees a fully built fence around the sheep, then he's all like, yeah, the spirit of the woods, all right. And then he's the only one who's like,
Also, no one heard the monster like hammering stakes into the ground at night with his bare fists. Also, it should be worth noting that like after he got shot and after he drowned in the ocean and all this stuff, we learned that he's got like regenerative abilities.
yeah.
He has regeneration abilities, so he can't die. Like he would have died, but he did not.
Yeah, and I don't really know if there's a reason why he has regenerative ability. Like it would make sense if he gets shot and he doesn't die because he is a corpse walking who is reanimated. And I can get on board with that. But as far as like the dead flesh regenerating, I'm not sure. I think you could argue that because Victor's character in the beginning, whenever he sees the dark angel, like that figure, it's kind of alluded to be like the devil in a way that he's turned away from God or from his guardian angel, and he looks to the dark angel who's like put him on this new path of like, I will lead you to this, but also it's like a monkey paw situation where it's not exactly what he wanted. So this life that he made, he grows to resent, but it will never die. And so I feel like you could see it as maybe a curse, but Victor also refers to that as like, some people think that they see an angel and then it becomes like the devil, but it's been an illusion the whole time. So I don't know if that's him being an unreliable narrator, that it actually is sort of like this cursed thing that's going on. And he refuses to recognize it with his ego. Similarly to how he like rejects Elizabeth's input on how to like essentially raise what is the monster of Frankenstein. So I don't know if that is the reason why he's like regenerative. Thank you. Words. And so the way that he's able to do all of that, I don't know if that ties in, but he's also got like superhuman strength. So this could also just be a part of resurrecting the dead.
He's not entirely human,
Right.
but that's what Victor wanted him to be. I think. Like he was trying to make a human, but in turn he made something more.
Yeah, he like
I won't say it was definitely less. I mean, the monster was definitely more, and he turned out to be better than most men.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was like he was born a pure soul, I think, as Elizabeth put it. And that kind of going back to that Elizabeth also, whenever she first like confronts Victor about like the horrible thing that how he's treating the monster.
Also, when Mia Goth first meets the monster, she's wearing white.
Oh, yeah, like the guardian angel.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's nude, but he's like pale skin, white, and obviously dead
Loincloth.
flesh, sure, but white. And then as he spends more time in man's world, he layers in black.
Yeah, that's a good point. As he's becoming more like violent and more educated, that he becomes
more like man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because what she says that he's like, maybe he's so simple that there is no sin there. Like he is not a sinful person and he needs to be nurtured with purity or something.
Which worked.
Yeah, it did. That was the best thing.
So yeah, he's like the spirit of the woods, and the family like leaves the grandpa for the winter, and then he finally takes the opportunity. What was it, like wolves or something? Is that how it's? No, that's not how it starts. How did he eventually get to meeting the grandpa?
Yeah, so the wolves
killed the sheep.
Yeah, the wolves basically they come in and they start killing all of the sheep, and then the hunters are killing the wolves, and then the monster has the epiphany that. And then just to quote, this section is so quotable, by the way. But whenever the wolves are coming in, and he's seeing the wolves massacre the sheep, and he's seeing the hunters who live at the farm kill the wolves.
A couple of them.
Yeah,
most of them get away.
Yeah, and he says, An idea became clear to me. The hunter did not hate the wolf did not hate the sheep, but the violence felt inevitable between them. Perhaps I thought this was the way of the world. It would hunt you and kill you just for being who you are. And that is his big epiphany that kind of drives him into like trying to understand the world a little more, that he is going to be hated just for being who he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, the wolves coming in, the family says they're going to go to the mountains and they're going to hunt the wolves so that they can continue to raise the sheep without worrying that the sheep are going to get massacred again. So then the family goes away. The granddad or the old man is left there alone, and then he builds up the courage to
Doesn't the old man say something like, "Oh, you gotta come out now"?
he I don't remember if that was as he like stepped in and then backed up, and then he's all like, "I know you're there," and then he's like,
Oh
he
yeah,
steps out.
yeah.
But that's like the first time that like a man has treated him with kindness his entire his entire life.
Yeah, and debatably, it was coming from a man that also may have been treated differently because of his disability.
Yeah, and the hunters before they leave, they call him like a stubborn old goat
Yeah.
or something. They like talk down to him
Yep.
because he's too stubborn to leave.
And then he ends up being the kindest soul that he needed, the monster needed to be nurtured to learn. Because they develop a relationship, and then he starts urging the monster to read,
Yeah.
form words, and teach himself, while also providing like companionship. And then I think like the big moment was when Frankenstein's monster like moved his hand to pat his head, right?
Yeah, because the old man is saying like we can be friends and companions because I mean we can both benefit each other out of this, but like not in a manipulative using kind of way, but in like a companionship
Yeah.
kind of way. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really nice. It was a very sweet side of this story after we were presented with such like hate from Victor's side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the wolves attack.
Yeah, my God.
It was so graphic and so sad, but it was a necessary plot point because otherwise he may have stayed there, just stayed with the family. And then of course the timing of everything with the wolves killing grandpa and being there for a while, right? Or he didn't die right away, but he was definitely mauled at that point. And then the monster comes in and breaks it up and everything, and he kills a couple wolves. And then the family gets in and immediately accuses the monster of harming and killing grandpa. But the thing I want to note was that there were 2 dead wolves in the house
Right.
while the family was there. And instead of looking at the evidence and making their judgment based on the fact that there are dead wolves in here, this thing probably saved him or stopped whatever was happening. Instead, they immediately point fingers
Yeah.
and start shooting.
And like I'm okay with that based on how they're like trying to portray everything and how they're trying to portray man. And,
Absolutely. Yeah.
the violence and the prejudice toward different things. But yeah, it is heartbreaking that it is like the third time, I think. I think it's the third time they point the finger at the monster whenever he's just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Yeah, he just gets all these accusations of murder thrown at him, and he's like, "Guys, I'm just a guy.
Just trying to live.
I'm just a fella, dude. Not trying to do anything bad."
And then he leaves, and then it's it's the plot point to drive the family drives him to seek companionship again. And he's decided at this point that like the only way that that's going to happen is if my creator creates someone like me to be with me through the end, right?
Yeah.
And so he searches out Victor at that point. And then I believe we're met with the engagement party, or is it the wedding? I think it's the wedding.
Yeah. One quote real quick. One of the things that is important, like that ties in later, is that the old man teaches what wisdom is when he says, the true measure of wisdom to know you've been harmed, by whom you've been harmed, and choose to let it all fade. and then the monster struggling with that because he doesn't know how to forgive or to let it fade yet. He doesn't even really remember everything wrong that happened with him, because before the wolves he goes out and then he sees what he is, and then he's just full of anger and rage and comes back to the worst thing ever. And sorry, that's the little sidebar there.
No, it's good. I mean, it almost shows you that he himself is looking at himself and not liking it. I mean, it's a pure reaction, which is the same as what man is doing to him.
Yeah, and similarly, it's like taking a bite from the tree of knowledge. They touch on Adam and Eve a lot. They do Paradise Lost, a story by Milton, after like Adam and Eve have been like cast out of the garden. But they're cast out of the garden because they've eaten from the tree of knowledge. They are then burdened with like all the pains of life and everything. And he then becomes burdened by the pain of his existence, which is that he was nothing. He was scraps taken from other people, and he was just a science project.
Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. Yeah. And it's very sad. But we get to the wedding at this point, right? And we knew that like both Victor and Elizabeth were going to be at this event because I mean it's Victor's brother's wedding and she's getting married. And then I thought it was interesting that he went into the room where she was preparing to be, like getting her hair and all that done. And then she said, like, it's bad luck to see the bride before the wedding. And he's like, he said that. And then she said, only for the groom.
Right.
And it's like kind of another incel moment of like, yeah, but you can't have that.
Yeah. After she saw how he treated the monster, she treated him as the monster
Because he was.
And she saw through it ever since they were in the confessional. Like she called him out, like he's manipulative, he's this, he's that, he's this, the other thing. And then she gets evidence of it. And then it's like,
which you pointed out earlier that she treats insects, something that's low on the ecological totem pole, as more and care and compassion for these things. And he treated his own creation as an insect, in that it's nothing more than a butterfly to cage.
Right.
And she didn't like that.
Yeah. And him saying that to her and her rejecting him immediately. And then her saying like, you have to promise me not to lie. And then he like comes closer or something. And then she just slaps the shit out of him.
Absolutely deserved.
And then we see again that he was lying whenever he went in there to apologize and say that I love my brother more than life itself. We've already seen that Victor does not love life. He does not care at all for life. He cares for himself. And so whenever he leaves and we see the anger on his face, we know that it was insincere the whole time. Whenever he's going to Elizabeth to try to coerce her into being like, oh yeah, no, I'm a good guy. I'm a
which
cool
is
guy.
Just as manipulative as his dad was when he tried to assure that he did everything in his power to save his mom.
Yeah. Which you
Just
also know is a lie.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, just putting a mirror between them at this point. I mean, it's the same person, him and his dad, Victor and his dad.
Yeah. And it was also like, it was heartwarming to see that Elizabeth kept the leaf that the monster gave her whenever he was chained up.
Oh, very cute. Yeah.
That the thing that he put in the water as it flowed to freedom, how he eventually did, that she kept the leaf that he gave to her because he saw that as beautiful. And then so she saw that as beautiful as well.
Yeah.
And then kept it this whole time.
And then when he eventually gets, when the monster eventually gets access to the building and gets into her room, she's not reactionary at all. She is grateful to see him again.
Yeah.
And it's like a heartwarming reunion. And then you get Victor storming in. He's got his gun. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah. And I also loved because the monster wasn't even coming to confront Victor to kill him.
No.
He was confronting him to be like, you've cursed me to be here. I just asked for a companion.
Yes.
And Victor, in his like arrogance, refused. He sees this beautiful creation that has become more intelligent than he could have ever imagined. he sees that it ended up being a success. He is the failure.
Yes.
That Victor is the failure. That he is the problem. That he is the monster. He sees the monster walk in, and he's like, "No, I'm not. I'm not doing this again."
You're just it's like you're an abomination
yeah,
to the natural world, and I have to
He-
rid the world of you.
yeah. He's just projecting his feelings
Yeah.
onto the monster at this
Yeah.
point.
And at this point, Victor doesn't know that his own monster is immortal in the sense of you
Yes.
can't kill him. Like you just can't murder him. You
Right.
can't shoot him. Yeah.
And I love the line again. This part of the movie is so quotable. Whenever he says, "The miracle is not that I should speak, but that you would ever listen," as he fucking throws him into like a mirror. It was just beautiful. I loved the line delivery there.
Which is also cool because you can kind of see the symbolism of I'm not going to turn into you like you did with your dad.
yeah.
It's like a refusal of like I will not follow this path.
And the oh god, what does he fucking say? He's like, if you will not grant me my wish, then I will indulge in my anger, and
Yeah.
then just beats the shit out of him.
Yeah. And then it leads to the gun, and then Elizabeth shows her true nature of being a protector
Yeah.
and her innocence, and then he shoots her. Victor shoots her.
And what was weird with that was that he like absolutely knew that she would jump in front of him, like because
Oh,
it was
dude.
telegraphed pretty hard.
Oh yeah.
And then he did it anyway. And I feeling that he did it similarly to how his own father essentially killed his mother, where like she was pregnant and dying, and instead of saving her, just like he saw the mom as such like a
Well,
I can't have her,
sure,
whatever.
Sure. I want to offer a different opinion of he saw that he was losing her to his own creation, and if he can't have her, no one can.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe not a different, but like a new line of thinking to the same end.
Phrased better for sure.
Oh, okay, cool. And then yeah, I mean, he takes her from the world, and then, well, I guess he mortally wounds her, and then the monster just escapes and goes to the cave. And then, in my opinion, I was like, oh, sweet, because like as someone that hadn't read the book, I was like, at this point, he's going to agree to it because he loves Elizabeth,
Right.
and we have a nice, complete body here. I thought he was going to try to do it with her, and then it would end up being like she is saved, she gets to be with the monster, and Victor gets his rocks off by like having her around forever, right? I don't know. But I was like, okay, so this makes sense because like now because he initially refused to make the companion, and now he's forced into a situation in which he has to save the woman he loves, and the woman that the monster loves, and the woman that his brother loves and was supposed to marry.
Yeah, and then it ends up dying. But
Yep. Kelsey had read the book, and she told me at this point that in the story, Victor did agree to make the companion and got partially way through it, and then decided at that point that it wasn't going to happen. Versus at this point in the movie, he outright denies it the whole way. He's like, I'm absolutely not doing that. And then they get to the cave, and he pledges his life, the rest of his life, to hunting down the monster to cleanse it from the earth.
and then one more beautiful thing about her death was that she asked the monster to take her from here, and then so he essentially takes the butterfly out of the cage, and then she's allowed to die free.
Yeah,
like
she
outside of
herself is a butterfly.
yeah, outside of the confines of the culture that has, or the society that has oppressed her and like ignored her, taken away all significance to her thought, and she's able to die free with the person who loves her staring at her, and she feels seen and heard. So I thought that was beautiful.
Also very sad. Because at that point
yeah.
I was like, oh man, I really wanted them to like find a way to be together.
It was a
all that.
Guillermo movie. You never knew if there was going to be like another
A Shape of
monster.
Water
Yeah, another
situation.
monster.
Yeah.
Monster sex
Yeah.
scene, dude.
Yeah. But no. And then at that point he carries on with a limp because he's got his like bum leg from the explosion.
Oh yeah.
He's got replaced. And so he's tracking him down, he's hunting, and then we find that the hunting situation brought them to the Arctic Circle, which led to Victor purchasing dynamite. And that's what led to the explosion, which we see at the beginning of the movie, which was super cool because we get a whole new perspective on, because initially when we're watching the beginning of the movie, we think that the monster caused the explosion trying to kill Victor. And it turns out it's the other way around. Victor lit the dynamite in an effort to blow up the monster to finally put an end to the hunt.
Yeah, it was fucking another funny note. If it'd be like, you think this will do it?
Yeah. And it's like everything that the monster did after this with hunting him down to the ship and everything is totally retaliatory
Right.
to everything that he's done. So it's a whole new perspective. And then you, as a viewer, flip. Like, I don't know if you were ever on Victor's side, but at this point, you should have definitely flipped.
You should have flipped right
I don't
away.
know who you're supporting here, but
As soon as those shackles went on, you should have been on the other
man.
team.
I mean, everyone I think should be on the monster side at this point. Is like Victor is a bad dude. He may have broken scientific ground and provided something brand new to the world, but he is corrupt, and what he made is not. And in a way, his creation is trying to fix it by taking him out instead.
And I love the line, so fucking many, of him saying, you may be my creator, but I will become your master.
Yeah. It was
fucking
awesome.
hilarious.
Awesome.
Oh, so good. And then starts running, and then he just gets pissy and is like, no, you won't. Fucking starts chasing after him. Oh, so good.
And then it is. And then we cut back to the present where Victor is dying in the ship, and he finally has this realization of, he stops calling him monster and he calls him son. And it's like in his final moments, he finally realizes where his humanity has gone now lies with his creation. His humanity is his son.
And that also came after Victor got to hear the monster's side of the story, where it's more than just like him coming to him and talking to him, but he gets to hear about like how he has grown, not as like a thing, but as a person, and how he's learned, and he's discovered so many more things about life and like the beauty and the ugliness of it. And then gets to hear the heartfelt story of him. And then maybe that's it. Maybe it's the fact that Victor's at the end of his line and he knows it and he's trying again to manipulate. Don't know at this point, but.
Or maybe I want to present that humans are born with their humanity, and his monster, his creation, had to earn it. And in that point, Victor realizes that his creation has earned its humanity.
Yeah, it was just like a terribly sad thing.
It is, but
it is the story.
I think that's the point. Yeah.
And then to give like this whole story that Victor has given and that the monster has given, to give that purpose, we see the captain of the ship having like taken in both sides, also acknowledging that this monster is more than a monster, that he is in fact a person, and that this whole thing has just been a bloody misunderstanding. People have died, but you know what?
Yeah,
they didn't really give him a chance.
Captain learned the most from this whole thing. He learned humility. Yeah,
and he got to hear from Victor's mistakes, and he got to take a different path.
He had the choice.
Yeah.
He was at the crossroads that Victor had already passed and made the wrong decision.
Yeah, and he got to hear both sides of what would happen. Like if he
caged all of his butterflies and made them push into the Arctic Circle versus letting them be free.
Yeah, they'd be dead as fuck.
Yeah.
And again, hilarious that they only made it like 50, 100 yards into that ice.
yeah, because like at this point, like fucking
he really is at the crossroads.
Victor's dead, right? And then the captain makes the call. He's like, all right, yeah, I'm inspired. Let's go home. And then the monster gets off and he pushes the bow, and then you find out, yeah, they're like 50 feet frozen into the circle.
Yeah.
And then they're back in open water to be free. And then the movie ends with the monster, his son, Victor's son, Victor Jr., if you will,
Yeah.
trudging through the snow into the Arctic Circle, plagued with walking the earth for however long as an immortal.
Yeah, and that ties into something Guillermo put in earlier in the movie where the monster is with the old man and he's reading all these books. He read Paradise Lost, which we mentioned. But another poem or another thing that he read was called Ozymandias, which happened to be by Mary Shelley's husband, which was a neat little Easter egg written by Percy Shelley. And the poem goes, I met a traveler from an antique land who said, 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor, well, those passions red which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear, my name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look at my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains, round the decay of the colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. And what that's referring to is Ozymandias is Greek for Ramses II, and Ramses II, Pharaoh of Egypt, and
Obviously.
yeah, in case you didn't watch Prince of Egypt, and so
What a callback,
that's
dude.
that's the only way you should know that name. But he's known for being the prolific monument builder of ancient Egypt, and this is in a way saying that what stands today are the 2 legs of the statue of Ramses II, and in front of those stands the shattered visage or the head of Ramses that's laying in the sand, and we're taking that as like throughout history and throughout time, all of those works are faded. They all fade away, but the monster will stand the test of time, or he's the one standing as all these other works fade away. Am I getting that?
Yeah, I think you pretty much had it. We interpreted it as the poem is directly referring to the statue, and it refers to the face, saying, "You look upon the face, look at the work that I've done." And time has consumed all of that work except for the monument. And in this case, Victor is the Ramses II, and his monster is the monument that will withstand the test of time as everything else in his life, in Victor's life, fades away to nothing.
Yeah, beautiful, and I we think that ties in perfectly with the monster then walking the vast nothingness of the Arctic Circle at the end of the film. Whenever the ship is now going back to where it came from.
Yeah, the monster is already in the desert, right? As Victor fades away into nothingness as he passes and the ship leaves, he's left in his own desert
And
alone.
yeah, and if you guys, if there's anyone who's got like differing opinions on that, feel free to comment.
Shut up. Feel free to shut up.
Yeah, because we'd love to hear it. Any like input on like any of the other subjects that we kind of touched on, or the symbols that we see. Or,
Yeah, because this novel is covered a lot in English classes in high schools. So
oh shit.
yeah, I mean, it was at our high school. That's how a lot of the people that I know have read it.
Oh,
I
really?
never did. I was in a creative writing course.
Yeah,
So-
I read Watership Down.
Yo, me too, with the rabbits. Can't wait for that rendition. Actually, there is a movie. There is a Watership Down.
movie in there.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, a lot of people may have read this novel, and we may be interpreting things incorrectly, but if we are, please feel free to let us know. And if not, cool.
You'll live with it, I guess.
I guess we'll live with it.
But yeah, I think that's going to be it for this episode.
It was a fun watch. So if you enjoyed it, It was a fun watch. Nick and I had a great time watching this movie. We really hope that you guys enjoyed listening. If you guys would like to hear us talk about a certain movie, please feel free to email us at butteredupcast@gmail.com or send us a DM on Instagram, Buttered Up Podcast.
Yeah, or even just comment. Just comment on the plug for this episode. Feel free. Any way that you can get in contact. Send us a letter.
Messenger
it's gonna
pigeon.
be hard.
Messenger pigeon.
They'll know where to go.
Just say Buttered Up. They'll be like, you got it.
Oh my god, what a tie-in to John Wick.
I'm thinking I'm back.
You made a life that can't procreate. Where's its penis?
You need to kill it.
That poor creature.
Why didn't you make it with boobs? Where's the tits on this thing?